I'm Jarrod Hines. I'm an assistant professor in the psychology department, and the course is Psych 230, Human Development. The main goals that I have are for people to understand the general developmental trends that occur for individuals across the world, and also understand that there's individual variation in human development, such that we're all very different in many ways. So I talk about, or we cover in class, cognitive development, emotional development, behavioral issues that come into play. The complexities of human development, I think, are fairly poorly understood in many ways because of a lot of the stereotypes that exist, especially related to older adults in particular. So one of the main focuses throughout the course is to kind of break down the stereotypes and have students understand that they're really not as applicable as they may think when they come into the class. I guess my main goal is to have students apply the things we talk about in class using critical thinking to their lives and to their vocations. Because even if they aren't psychology majors or nursing majors or would necessarily directly use some of these things in their occupational lives, they can certainly apply many of the things to their own personal lives. And I think that that's one of the reasons why this class is so important. The material covered on that day was related to the first couple of years of life after birth. We were talking about physical changes that occur, cognitive changes, emotional changes, and basically it was centered around how the infant looks and interacts with the world, how the infant looks at and sort of interacts with the world around him or her. And I think especially for, again, as I said, students tend to think that, babies are just cute and cuddly, and that's often as much as they understand about them. So I think it's important to understand, some of the challenges, for example, that infants can encounter and parents can encounter when dealing with them. In development, they can start to focus on objects like toys that they might play with because they can see a little bit further. They can also discriminate colors about as well as adults. So they're not born colorblind, for example, or they're not born with black and white vision or something of that nature. I've had students ask me that before, when do we develop color vision? Well, we always have it, it just becomes more refined over time. Okay? We also have something called binocular vision that starts to pop up around 3 months. Why is this particularly important, do you think? What does binocular vision buy for us? Anybody know what binocular vision is? I guess maybe I'm stepping ahead of myself.
I'm taking a guess. What is it for depth perception?
Yeah, bingo. So binocular vision just means that you're coordinating the visual input from both eyes at the same time. So you can, for example, triangulate on an object in front of you so you can reach out and grab it, or at the age of 3 months maybe reach out and knock it over. Really important elements of the class, from my perspective, is an understanding of research methods that are involved in psychology and in science in general. I spend a fairly good amount of time at the beginning of the semester talking about the various research methods that allow us to collect all the information that we talk about in class, because it is all based on empirical evidence instead of the stereotypes that I referenced earlier. And to that end, I have students practice creating their own experiments. I have them also write a term paper that's due toward the end of the semester that integrates primary research related to some area in human development that they're interested in. They self-select their topic, and that gives them an opportunity to really dive in deeper than we might in class into something that they find to be personally relevant or relevant to their occupation, which is often the case for many of the students. And it also gives them a chance to read about not only the research itself, the findings, but how those findings were collected, and see that psychology, contrary to popular belief, is not just common sense. It's really based on a sound empirical method, just like every other science.